Well, Legacy Wave 3 is continuing to drown in a diarrhea-filled toilet with no one holding it down. Though this time, I warned you all. I said that it looked like it was going to be crap, and oh boy is this crap. This is not like any of the rest of the wave. This one isn't sneaking up on us with its problems. It had the decency to suck from a distance at the very least. And I'll be honest, the reason I have this is subscriber Lavi bought this hoping to like it, but hated it so much they just wanted to return it, and instead they wound up selling it to me. So thank you for cursing my house with its sinful awfulness. It's a Legacy Blanker, or Point Blank, or whatever the hell this character's name is supposed to be. I honestly can't give half a crap. I mean, look at this thing. This is hands down one of the unintentionally ugliest robot designs in all the Transformers. I mean, how is this real? I hate looking at this. I am filled with revulsion. Every decision was bad. The monolithic shoulders the arms are hanging off of, not actually attached to the body. The tires that look like giant disturbing blue nipples that migrated their way off his chest. The feet that look like goddamn camels' heads. Quite potentially the ugliest, most gappy backside of all time. That's very nearly causing me some trypophobia. The chunk of the windshield that's mounted on an armature that doesn't go anywhere or do anything. It weirdly seems like it's cut out to fold into here, but it doesn't. The weird-ass tailbone that's hanging down for no reason. Like seriously, this part doesn't have to be there for the alt mode. The cutouts in the ankles that are only there because the designer got lazy. The forearm kibble bigger than his forearms and the weird red elbow blisters. The fact that you can see clear through his chest into his torso. The legs that are miles too long with the goddamn childbirthing hips. This looks more like a GoBot than it does a Transformer. My powers of roasting are honestly kind of failing me here, because all I want to do is point at it and say, look, what do I need to add to this? It does it for me. Should I really waste my energy on something this painfully ugly? This abusively unattractive? Every part of this asshole is a distinct thing. He's got a torso that's got a dick hanging off of it, then he's got a chopstick stabbed through the dick, and some legs are attached to the far ends of that. He's got the two fenders of a car mounted to the top of his square, with some arms hanging off in the wrong parts of those. This doesn't look like a figure, it looks like what they cobbled together out of the rejected parts pile in the tool room. Maybe you'd think that this would look cooler if the shoulder spikes were sitting at a steeper angle, but unfortunately, the way the biceps are attached makes that look ridiculous. But can anyone really make the claim that this looks any worse like this than it already does on its own normally? And the QC here is so weird. Like the legs are fine front to back. They don't feel the best, but they hold okay. However, side to side, and this is taking like no effort. I'm not even trying. This is the limpest shake I've ever given a figure. To be clear, I don't actually shake the figures as hard as it usually looks like I am. I speed up the footage most times so you can see more of the ways the QC is failing without the audio having to pause. That way there's not any wasted air in the show. But this time I am doing it exceptionally softly, and the legs are still going crazy. And then the shoulders are unnecessarily tight. And I know that there are these two pegs that are supposed to lock the head into place, but on the one I have here, they really don't do their job well, so this loves falling in. I can't even begin to explain how bad this feels. I just know that when I go to pose this for the video, everything is going to work out perfectly because that's just my luck. But whenever I try and set this thing down when I'm not filming, the legs just try to do an ever-expanding set of splits till the whole thing falls over unless it's on a surface with a ton of grip. But this figure is such an asshole in every way, I know it's going to sabotage my attempts to show off its problems. And then you get to the head and just, Jesus! This is the ugliest head I think any figure I own has. This makes me long for a bay face by comparison. It's got the dumbest, most hideous helmet I've ever seen. And is it just me, or does the face look like the Impossible guy with a visor on? What's weird is that normally a figure gets less ugly from a distance as its worst details kind of fade away, but this thing, and especially its head, actually gets better looking the closer you get. The proportions seem to get less wonky at more acute angles, and the face less duck-lipped and goofy. The head from the Transformers anime is so much better than this. I believe that was the sound of the universe cracking from the improbability of me saying that. I'm sorry. I've doomed us all by not hating on Japan. I'd like to point out that the reason that I say I hate Japanese Transformers, which is uncomfortably racist sounding for my taste, as opposed to saying something like, I hate the Transformers animes, is because there is more than just the animes. Or did we all forget that Kiss Players is the worst crime ever visited upon our beloved franchise? I don't actually hate Japan or anime. I really like that stuff. I just don't like their takes on the Transformers overall. I'm sure there's something I would enjoy in there, I'm just not motivated to try and find it when most of it is so antithetical to what I like about the Transformers. But yes, I do understand that I phrased that badly in the past and came across like an asshole. Which I am, but I'd like to think not that particular brand of terrible asshole. So, the look of this figure is a transgression against good taste, an assault upon the senses. Not one part of this thing looks like it belongs together. A mishmash of parts that may have been fine on other figures, except for the crotch, but were haphazardly slapped together on a figure that feels like someone just wanted to get it out the door. Like they weren't getting paid enough for this shit, so why bother? With the Wave 3 QC striking once again. Though, at least this time nothing wants to fall off him, and they tried to justify all this with the accessory, which fucking sucks. We have a Target Master, ladies and gentlemen, and I just have to point out, literally every Headmaster out of Titan's Return was better than this thing. It's a little bigger than those were, but it's got a whole lot of hollow on the back, a lot less paint considering those had entire faces on their spines that got plastered in the stuff. From the crotch down, it's just a calamity, like he basically becomes Fupa and never stops till you hit his feet with a giant mono leg, and it actually has fewer parts. Those had separate heads, individual arms, hips, and knees. This has no articulation whatsoever, unless you count folding him in half like Edgar the Cockroach did to that waiter. At which point, what's he doing? Smelling his own feet? Though I do have to say I'm impressed with his ability to balance like this. Then you just fold out the barrel that's hanging off the backs of the legs because fuck us, I guess, Hasbro doesn't need to work for our money. And then you end up with this giant stupid gun mode that doesn't look like anything. At best, it's like an engine block with a hose hanging under it, because this is absolutely not attached to the body of the gun. Fuck this accessory. It's shit. And I don't know why it has a handle on the back. What's he supposed to do? Hold it like a sword? But if you thought that was bad, now we move on to the posing. And this is where this thing really gets around to flipping us the bird. Despite being on a tall peg, the head only rotates. You can fake a tilt up, but yeah, I'm not counting this. Shoulders pull probably like a 70, but then you can hot rod them up for this ludicrous looking crap, though at least that's like a 110. Normally, I don't mention the shoulders going forwards because you can expect just about every figure ever to do this, but these are cut at such a strange angle that they send the arms in awkward directions. Elbows pull like a 10, maybe a 20. Fuck this thing, fuck it so hard. They seriously couldn't engineer this so the moronic blood blisters could get out of the way, especially when you can spin the arms backwards and get like a dozen times the range going the wrong direction? Interjection from the future! Been a long time since I did one of these, but I only figured this out while recording the video for this episode. The elbows only bend their pathetic amount forwards. You cannot use the elbow going to the side at all, meaning that this is insanely more limited than I even thought it was going in. Unfortunately, there are no wrist swivels, and this has no excuse to not have them. Literally none whatsoever. Not even 1% is this justified. Fuck this thing. And then we got an above average lower body with hips that kick forward fine, back better, and to the side even better than that. And as much as it disgusts me to say it, maximum knees. And then feet with a good rocker and toe down. I mean no exaggeration when I say that I have never seen an upper body on any figure released after 2010 that's this bad. The shoulders are ugly and weird, the elbows are heinous. I sincerely don't think I've ever seen them this useless before in my life, so long as they have elbows at all, and the fact that this just doesn't have wrist articulation is flabbergasting to me. I literally do not have the words for how unbelievably lazy that is. There are figures whose designs won't let that work, and this ain't one of them. It would have been so easy, and they just didn't. And then the fucking transformation is actually really pretty good. It's a mostly fun process marred by the QC fairy striking once again. Or maybe it's just bad design, you be the judge. Where it's nearly impossible to transform this thing without popping off both these side panels, especially true going the other way. And then for some reason, this is designed where you need to open the cockpit for the figure to complete the transformation, but you don't have the clearances to do it. So in order for you to complete this process, you need to flex plastic hard against clear plastic, and that's just awful. You know what? I'm developing a theory. This was a Titan's Return figure that they held off releasing because it sucked so hard, and they just retooled the Headmaster away. I'm not even kidding, that's exactly what this feels like. And then the alt mode is not as bad as I thought it looked from pictures. This is actually slightly cool. I dig it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I was prepared to hate this mode, but it's easily the best looking thing the figure has going for it. I mean, I don't know why this crotch piece drops down like this when the 1/4 inch extra it covers up doesn't go nearly far enough. Like, really? They couldn't have this slide down on a track or something. Instead, you just made it uglier in robot mode for the sake of making it uglier because it's doing nothing for the alt mode. Yeah, I just cut that fucker off live on camera. What of it? And the figure doesn't even look worse for it. Why can't I store the Target Master on the roof? Why do the tires have the weird nipples hanging off of them when they aren't sized for 5mm ports? God damn, this mode is gappy all over. At least it rolls well. And I think you all know what my recommendation is already. Don't even consider it. Fuck this thing. It's going to go on the worst of year list, I can promise you that. I know I've been perhaps a smidge more understated with my discontent than I normally am considering how bad this is, at least compared to the strings of profanity you'd usually expect from me in this situation. But unlike with the other stuff, I'm not surprised by how awful this is. It was obviously going to suck from the onset. I'm more surprised that anyone is surprised. Really? A figure that's uglier than the Kingdom Rhinox with jacked up proportions and clearly compromised posing is something anyone was holding out hopes for? And hilariously, it's not even the version of the character that anyone wants. I talk mad shit on Japanese Transformers, but I'm not an idiot. No one gives a single solitary flying fuck about the American version of this character. No one watched the Rebirth except for me, and I actively hated it. This is the worst thing that Hasbro has done since Ursi, and I'm almost unsure which is worse. Ursi looks better than this in robot mode and pose better. This transforms better and has a better alt mode. Though to be clear, it's only a decent alt mode and a pretty good transformation. So the Ursi might actually be better. I don't even want to finish that sentence. Fuck this thing, don't buy it. It will make you happier to not have this. You would rather have your money. Spend it on an overpriced, mediocre burger. You will enjoy it more that way. And that's not half what I have to say, but it's enough what I have to say. And I know, you know, what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.